So today we're going to be very on brand and we're going to be talking about why vinyl sucks, and I'm going to be explaining why I'm selling all of my records. Welcome to Vinyl Addicts Anonymous. Take a seat. Shopping is addictive. Shopping for vinyl can be very addictive. If you're someone who plans on finding great sounding records, then it's more addictive than if you buy just to have it sit on the shelf. The reason for this is because of how unpredictable the sound of vinyl can be. Addiction uses dopamine, and dopamine thrives on anticipation of positive outcomes. So when the postie drops off your record and you're getting the pleasure of unwrapping it, even if it's in mint condition, when you play it you have no idea how it's going to sound. And it is this uncertainty which addiction grows from. I became a little bit obsessed with this, hence this channel and its existence. And if you would have told me when I first started collecting that I would have been spending like over £7,000 on vinyl records, then I would just have to ask, like, what the fuck are you thinking? And now afterwards, having gone through this part of my life, I'm kind of thinking that as well again, thinking, what was I thinking? Where I do find some relief, though, is in the resale value of my collection. I use this as a justification for my purchases and as a reason to hold on to the records for longer. For the most part, buying records is like having a diverse investing portfolio. It's possible to have records increase in value, the Lord of the Rings Fellowship box set being a great example. However, the chances are more likely that a record's value will decrease. All it takes for prices to crash is a new pressing to happen, which, in this case, Taylor Swift clogging the system is actually helping buy some time if you're considering selling some out-of-print records right now. When you do come to sell, it's important to remember to factor in time, both in terms of time spent buying and inflation, and the hidden joys of platform fees. My setup isn't cheap, and I go to great lengths to try to make my records sound as good as they are. And despite this, the bar is still to have a record sound as good as a track that has been streamed on a streaming platform. And it's never got to that point. There is always something about a record that makes it inferior to the sound experience on a streaming platform. And I'm not talking about uncompressed files here. This is compressed files. I'm very skeptical that it's even possible for a record to sound as good as a compressed file on a streaming platform at this point. I've done the audio format quality test a bunch of times and my scores were just like everyone else, unreliable at knowing which is supposed to be the best. This meme really hits the nail on the head. This is one of the weaker reasons to not buy vinyl, as the tactility of a 12, 10 and 7-inch is my favourite thing about it, but the impracticalities of it means that my records have mostly just been sitting on the shelf, and some of them have only been played once or twice at max. I think maybe one of them may have been played 5 times since I've owned it in the last 10 years, let's say. So all of that combined together, I just can't see it as a justification for holding on to them. The other year I moved house and it wasn't the worst experience for me personally, and 250 records is not that hard to manage, especially when it's only like less than 20 miles up the road that you're moving. But at the same time, the experiences just generally made me want to live a life of minimalism. I think the planet is completely fucked, and we've done that damage as a species, and the damage is just too far gone. We can't repair what damage we've done at this point. But with that said, at the risk of sounding like a huge hippie, I just can't help but not do my best, where possible, to look after the planet and the conscious and sentient beings that inhabit it. Kyle Devine has a fascinating book called Decomposed, The Political Ecology of Music. The key takeaways from it were that to match the environmental cost of vinyl to streaming's environmental cost, you would need to listen to a vinyl record a minimum of 17 times, and sometimes upwards of 40 times. And I can tell you now, I am not ever going to probably listen to those records that amount of times that makes it justifiable to own them. But maybe for you, the wider environmental impact is not something you care about, but maybe you care about your own health. Ben Jordan has a great video highlighting the potential of off-gassing chemicals with records at home. It appears that there may be some cause for concern with having records near yourself. I recommend checking this video out.
I truly expected this to be a waste of time and money and just a shot in the dark that wouldn't even end up as a segment in the video, but I did not prepare myself for actual results like this that were so alarming, to the point where this device would tell me that I'm not even supposed to be breathing the air next to a record. So there's that.
This was a difficult thing for me to admit because I'd invested so much into vinyl over the years with money, energy, and time, and I won't get those back, but I will get some money back with the resale, but I don't expect to break even. I will make a loss. But at least I only bought 250 good quality records and they've been looked after. So it could have been a lot worse. I could have had much worse regrets in life. So I got out quite lucky, I'd say. And using my criteria of only buying records of vinyl worthy albums, where that means that there is no songs that you wish to skip on the record, that really helped out with keeping the amount of records that I bought over the years quite low. I still haven't even made it out of B on the alphabet for artists covered, so I'll probably die before I get to the end at this pace. But anyways, if you can relate to any of what I've talked about here today, if there's something I've missed, if there's something you agree or disagree with, then do let me know. Peace and love, bye 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 bye.